Hello, this is Dinah Lane from Harwich Channel 18. It's very nice to see you. I'm here today with people from the Chase Library right here in Harwich. And first of all, we have Patti Tworek, whom we've met many a time. She's the president of the board there and has been for a number of years. And we also have a new face who is now the executive director of the library, and that is Jacob Greenberg. And I'm delighted to welcome both of you.
Thank you.
Hello. And I would love to have Patti, if you want to give a slight introduction for Jacob, that would be great. And then maybe Jacob, you could speak a little bit about the time you've had already here and how you came to be here and what you're hoping to do.
All right. Well, I will tell you that when we learned that our librarian of 8 years, Claire Gradone, was ready to retire, we all went into a panic on the board thinking, how will we ever survive without Claire? And then we advertised for a new librarian on the Mass Board of Library Commissioners website. And we received some applications and we did our interviews. And by the middle of June, we had made our decision which was a unanimous decision, that Jacob Greenberg would be our next librarian if he would accept our offer. And he did, and we were thrilled. And now he's been here since July. And I'll let him tell you a little bit about how he got here.
Thanks, Patti. Yeah, I'm a Massachusetts native. I grew up out here and feel like I spent half my time, I was from central Massachusetts, but spent, every summer on the Cape. And, most of my life, I was like, I'm going to end up there. That's my goal. I want to live on the Cape. And, but I wound up in California for about 20 years. And when people think of California, it's usually the coast in LA or San Francisco, something sort of romantic. But I was in Sacramento, which is hot. It's flat. I worked in television actually for many, many years. I did a lot of documentaries, and the more work that I did, the more time I found myself spending in libraries and archives and places like that. And I realized how much affinity I had for them and really enjoyed that part of the work. And I was helped by a lot of amazing people, amazing librarians who had so much knowledge. And I thought, I want to do that. So after about a dozen years, I was ready to move on from TV, and library work just seemed like kind of a natural progression. I worked in the Sacramento Public Library system for about 4 years or so. And finally was like, it's been 20 years in California. I'm ready to move back. I have young children. I wanted them to go to school out here on the Cape. And so we moved. I live in Eastham now, and was just thrilled when I saw this ad for this tiny little library that wasn't even on, Clamsnet. It wasn't part of the system. It was just its own little unique entity. And I feel incredibly honored. I think I'm the 14th library director of the Chase. I'm the first guy that they hired, which I feel like has a lot of responsibility. I got to represent that, Y chromosome, but I love being there. I love working with Patti and the rest of the board. It's just been an incredible experience. We've had a lot of work to do since I came on board. We had a capital campaign to rebuild our roof. We've rebuilt our children's room. We've rebuilt, just literally today, we had folks working on some shelves in the back room to kind of make it more accommodating to people. And it's just been an amazing experience. And I'm very grateful that they entrusted me with a really great resource in Harwich.
Well, it's wonderful to have you here. And it sounds like you have already accomplished a great deal. So what do you have in store for us? What do you imagine the next steps will be? I know you have some ideas about programming and so forth that you might want to tell us about.
I think that's a big part of it, is that, on the one hand, we are so fortunate to have so many people who are already incredible supporters of the library. Many of them have been coming for decades. They really have a passion for the Chase. But I would love to see, new families coming in. I'd love to really start to build some programming that will encourage some new people to come in and discover what this sort of rare gem is in Harwich. People drive down Route 28 and, they sort of see it from the road, and maybe they see the sign and they're like, oh, what's that little spot between 7-Eleven and a bait shop? It seems like an odd little spot to be in, but we love it. And we love when new people walk in and discover it for the first time. So I think a lot of the programming that we have in mind is designed to do that. I definitely want to bring some more kids in there, some families. I've got young kids. I know how much they love libraries, and each library out here on the Cape has sort of a unique quality. My kids know which one has the best costumes, which one, you can build a little house in. They sort of know what the cool toys are at all the different libraries. So I'd love to have the Chase be one of those stops on families' tour of the libraries of the Cape.
It is sort of a diamond in the rough, isn't it? Really quite a beautiful thing. Okay, well, I know you're also having a book sale. We're going to be soliciting for donations for that. Is that right?
We absolutely.
What is the timing on that?
The timing is now or anytime, please.
Okay.
We definitely, we always have books for sale. I mean, that's another sort of aspect of the library. We have people who don't necessarily come in to check out books, but they know we have books for sale. And, it goes from the latest bestsellers to some really rare stuff that maybe they wouldn't find elsewhere. But we're always looking for donations. I know I'm somebody who kind of hoards books. I have a ridiculous amount of them in my own house. That's just a very small sample behind me. And so I know, sometimes they get a little overwhelming. And if people have books that they've been kind of sitting on for many years, we would love it if you wanted to share those with us and we could sell them, raise money for our library. We have a very small budget and every little bit helps. So anytime is a great time to donate books to the Chase.
I see. Okay. So if someone donated a book and you didn't think that it was necessarily saleable, but you thought it would be a great thing for your shelf for lending, is that still open when people bring in books? You can make decisions at that point about how you use them?
A big part of my job. We've gotten some really interesting boxes and bags of books, where maybe 90% of them go into our book sale. And then suddenly there's one that like, wow, we don't have this on the shelf.
I see. Okay.
So we've gotten some really great stuff that way, for sure.
Right. And do you take anything, any kind of book, or do you have, can people really bring anything, or should they be more, are there certain limits to the kinds of things that you will accept?
I would say, having done this kind of work for a while, the only thing is if it's moldy or it's got bed bugs, please don't bring it. Other than that, we definitely, we appreciate everything that comes through the door. And, there's a saying that sort of every book has its reader.
Yes.
And I truly, truly believe that. And so it might be something that somebody doesn't think is worth anything. And maybe it's not something that's going to sell on AB books for $1,000, but the right person is going to hit on that book eventually.
Yeah, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds very good. That's good guidance. Okay, Patti, do you want to talk a little bit about the Winter Author Series? I know you're planning that now, right?
We are. We're planning our Winter Author Series, which will take us through January, February, March, and perhaps April. But before I get into that, if you don't mind, I'll talk about our next in-person event, which is next month.
Yes.
And so we most recently wrapped up an event with Patti Francis, which was an in-person event, which people thoroughly enjoyed, and we enjoyed being able to share Patti with a wider audience. And next month on Wednesday, November 10th, we are hosting Juliet Fay. And we've had Juliet Fay before. Our patrons and a lot of folks in Chatham and Harwich and Dennis are really familiar with Juliet because they may have attended a prior in-person event. She is a delightful speaker, and she writes very approachable books. And so she wrote The Tumbling Turner Sisters, which was about life during vaudeville. And we met the most interesting vaudevillian characters in that book. And then she did City of Lights, which was Hollywood in the early days, which is an eye-opener because it's not all glitz and glamour for young women.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And now she's written Catch Us When We Fall, which is a story of a young woman who is pretty much homeless and pregnant and dealing with addictive behaviors. And while that all sounds very, very sad, it is quite the uplifting book.
Okay.
So Juliet will be at 400 East on November 10th.
Okay.
From 3 to 5 p.m. We will be having appetizers and coffee and tea, and there'll be a cash bar. And the ticket price is $40, the same as Patry. And you can sign up by calling the library or by emailing the library or by stopping into the library.
Okay.
And
can you just say, do you have any protocols in place? Have you decided whether people are required to wear masks, or are people required to show vaccination cards? What is the plan?
we do not have any.
Yeah.
We do not have any protocols in place. We are trusting that the people who come, if they are unvaccinated, will voluntarily wear a mask. If they have been exposed to anyone, they'll voluntarily wear a mask. Otherwise, if they're fully vaccinated, we're not requiring a mask. And the room that we will be in has a set of doors. So if it's not terribly cold on that November day, we can add additional ventilation to the room. The room will only hold 65 people, and we will keep it at that. We will not try to get more people into the room.
Okay. I know that people often wonder when they're signing up for events.
Sure, absolutely, absolutely. So then our winter author series is kind of in progress now. Jacob and I were just chatting this morning about a couple of authors that have written about Provincetown, and we thought that might be really interesting to have both of them, whether together or separately, share their experiences growing up in Provincetown. But if there's anything that people would like to have us explore, we've had naturalists, we've had a gentleman who wrote an excellent Italian cookbook. We've had people who are local historians. We've had writers of children's books. So if there are ideas out there that people want to share, we'd be happy to explore some of those. Those will probably be a mix of Zoom events and in person at the library. So they'll be limited.
Okay. And how should people give you their input? How would you like input provided?
Chase Library WH@gmail.com.
Okay.
Send us an email.
Email. Okay.
Yes, send us an email.
And also, Patty, could I just add that our website, chase-library.com, also has an input page. If people want to leave a comment or send us a note, that's another great way that people can get in touch with us. Just
that's good.
That up.
That's a web page.
That's the web page.
Okay.
Yes.
Yep.
Great.
And I might back up and say that we also now have a donate button on the webpage, so that if you're signing up for the Juliet Fay event, instead of having to drive to the library and drop off a check or mail a check, you could pay for that event by using the donate button on the website. Right. So that makes it a little easier for folks as well.
Okay, great. So that's the new email address that you gave me, and also the website address.
Yes.
So those are ways that people can reach you at any point.
Yep.
And you have a newsletter? I thought I saw something about a newsletter.
We do have a newsletter. We put out a newsletter at the beginning of every month, and it usually includes information about things that are happening at Chase that month. It might reference the new books that we've gotten at Chase that month.
What format is that?
There's a theme. Pardon?
What format is that? Is that an emailed newsletter, or is it a paper newsletter?
The newsletter is actually, it started by only being posted on our website.
I see.
I have since moved along to sending that to the people who have asked to be notified about author talks, and given them the option to opt out of receiving them. But if anybody wants to receive the emails, they should just the newsletters rather, they should just email the library and then we'll get them on that list.
So are the newsletters paper copies? That's what I'm trying to understand. Or are they emailed? Is it an email?
They're emailed.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
they're emailed.
You're
Yes.
not giving out paper copies.
No.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so
I'm
we're in
sorry.
the modern age. Yes. Okay,
Right.
that's great. All right, wonderful, wonderful.
Right.
Okay, let's see. The only other thing that I had that I wanted to be sure that we touched upon is your wonderful new roof and the donations that you received from so many generous people. If you have other things, we can talk about those too, but maybe you'd like to address the new roof.
I would like to address the new roof. When we realized we needed a new roof, it was the scariest thing that's ever happened to us at Chase Library, because roofs cost a lot of money. They cost almost what our annual budget is. So it was very daunting. And we knew we were going to have to raise the money through some sort of a campaign. And we announced that on August 15th. And it is now the middle of October, and we are pleased to announce that with a goal of $20,000, which seemed insurmountable on August 15th, we have met the goal. The library roof has been repaired and reshingled, and ridge vents were added so that we don't get a lot of condensation in the attic area. It has been such a blessing for all of us at Chase Library to receive such generosity from people in the Harwich community, but people beyond the Harwich community. We received a most generous challenge grant from a local Harwich family, and then another very large donation from another Harwich family. And then you coupled that with all of the small and medium-sized donations that people were just so grateful to be able to provide to us. I think that in a very short space of time, the challenge had been met, and we're simply overwhelmed with generosity.
Really an outpouring to avoid the pouring rain.
Absolutely, and we're so grateful to have it done before the winter months. So very grateful to have that done.
Yes, yes, such an important thing with a room full of books. So
yes, yeah. Okay. So lots happening at Chase. I mean, we've done a lot with the building itself, and now our focus is turning to doing a lot of programming.
Right. So, Jacob, do you have any final words you'd like to say? Anything else that you'd like to touch upon before we close?
I just want to say it's been a really amazing experience. It's been everything that I hoped for. Moving 3,000 miles across country was daunting. And literally, as soon as we got out here, we were dealing with COVID and feeling kind of isolated. Here I had come, hoping that I was going to get involved in the community and be a part of something new. And suddenly we were stuck at home for, a year. And so becoming a part of the Chase family, and it really is, has been incredible. And just to touch on the roof campaign again, just because it was very daunting to start, and within a month being told we need a new roof. that's a lot for the next few months. Claire Gradone, who was my predecessor, was amazing, and I felt like I already had some pretty big shoes to fill, and then to be like, oh God, now we need a new roof too. And to see the community just like the outpouring. I mean, Patti really, if anything, undersold it. It was really incredible how quickly we were able to make this happen, and now it's done, and we can move on and we can focus on programming. And that's a great thing kind of going into the holidays, to feel like we have that opportunity to really put the focus where it belongs. The building is in great shape now, and now we can really do our best to bring in some new people and let folks know what an incredible resource they have at their fingertips in Harwich. So I'm very grateful to be a part of it.
Excellent. Well, I'm sure everyone is happy to have you here, and I'm happy to welcome you as well. So thanks so much for coming on and talking about all the things that are going on at Chase Library.
Thank you, Dinah.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. And so we'll look forward to the next time, and we'll look forward to coming in any old time, because it's such a beautiful little beautiful little place. It's a very calming space too, I find, to just walk in there and feel greeted by people who love books. So it's a wonderful, wonderful treasure for the town. So thanks again. And we'll be talking to you soon. Thank you.
Thanks, Dinah. Have a
Thanks,
good day. Bye.
Dinah Lane from Channel 18. Thank you so much.